Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. Um, for Intan, I would like to ask about the regarding your proposal. You choose Harry Potter movie to improve student speaking skill, especially in British accent. As we know nowadays, it's hard to find students speaking English using accents, especially in junior high school. And if they don't know what it is British accents from the start, it might be difficult for the researchers to see the improvisation because learning to speak using an accent it takes time. And how will you overcome with these problems? And then regarding to your sample, you choose junior high school grade age, especially A class, as your participants in your research. And then another question for me is, do you take sample from students who already know what it is British accents or from students who don't have any idea what a British accent at all? Please give your reasons and explanation. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Intan. You can answer directly.
All right, sir. Before that, I would like to ask, is my voice audible?
Yes,
Your
Intan.
voice is not very clear.
What about now, sir?
Ya, tapi sangat, tapi oke lah, go ahead. I have to use this. Go ahead.
All right. Uh, all right. I would like to answer your questions right away, and I think there are two questions, right, Yuri?
Yes, Intan.
All right. The first is Yuri asked me how to overcome with a problem that not all students know about what the accent is, especially British accents. Here, I would like to answer and also explain about it. Previously, I myself was aware of this problem. When all students know about accents, especially about British accents, and most of them, of course, only know that English is only English, right? English is only one English, without knowing the existence of an accent in the English language. So from here, I will introduce to them a little knowledge about what the accent is and the types of the British accent itself, which I have written in my proposal. And there is a possibility if I will show them two different short video which contains about how American pronounce a word or how they speak English in American accents, and the other one is how the speaker uh, speak English with British accents. But first, of course, I will ask about the differences in their way, I mean the speaker's way of speaking that the students hear from the two short audios that I show them. And after that, I will continue according to what I target in my proposal. That is the answer for the first your question. And the second, how do I choose the students? Yes, here I have written that I took class 8A as my sample. And here I didn't choose students in this sample, such as which students already knew British accents and which didn't know otherwise, but I took them randomly because here I also choose cluster sampling, which certainly will take several students randomly. So I think that's all my answer for your questions, Yuri. Clear?
Thank you. Yeah, Intan. Rizky, do you have more questions or suggestions?
No, sir, it's enough.
Okay, thank you. Question. Now we proceed to the next discussion. The second discussion, please have your time.
Uh, is my voice audible?
Yep.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. Regarding from your proposal, you determine the sample or your research is in grade 8A. My question is, what is the reasons you choose class 8A of out the 5 classes in class 8? And you wrote in your proposal that you are using cluster sampling. And my another question is, why do you write cluster sampling if you only focus on class A? If you use cluster sampling, you can just take one class such as class 8A. Cluster sampling, as far as I know, is the selections of clusters from the combined populations so that there should be several clusters from each of the 5 classes in class 8, not only all samples from class 8A. So you can just use a class 8A sample with cluster sampling. That is all of my questions. Thank you.
Okay, go on. Intan, to respond to the question.
All right. Thank you, sir. Well, I'm sorry in advance, and thank you very much for the questions and also the correction from Della. Uh, I will try to answer it and also explain the mistakes that I have written in my proposal. In this proposal itself, I have written that I will use cluster sampling, but it also there is written a class, right? Which it certainly doesn't match with the definitions of the sampling itself. And in the cluster sampling, as I read, the researcher will divide a large populations into a smaller group, and which the researcher also select the students randomly among this randomly for example. So here I think I will select students randomly from each class of 8th grade students, and I will also certainly fix my proposal for its mistake. Uh, uh, I think thank you once again for Della, and I do apologize for not being careful in inviting my proposal.
Okay, thank you, Intan. So Adela, do you have more question or suggestion?
No, sir. Thank you.
All right. So that's the end of the question and answer from students. Now it's my turn now. Let me share your proposal. All right. Okay, as usual, so we might need the second link of our meeting because it is limited. So when I am on by Zoom, so I will close it and we quickly join again to the second part of this recording. All right, so now here the effectiveness of watching Harry Potter to improve students' speaking skill in British accent. All right, I think the basic was that question of this title is, why do you think that British accent matters? Why it is important?
I think it's important because it can be insight knowledge and another knowledge for students, which usually students only, as I said or explained before, that students only knows that English is English. They just think that English is like a common language, and they don't know that there are some accents, especially British accents, and why do I choose British? Because I think British is the original language of the English itself, and that's why I will choose the British accents in my research.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean like this, for Indonesian people, it's not only Indonesian, but people around the world, actually accent really doesn't matter as far as they English or their English is understandable, or they can use their English. Yeah, I think that's more than enough, because now it is not really urgent yet to whether we follow certain accent or not. Yeah. And the current time where the world's become so global, meaning that wherever we live now, we don't really uh, what do you call it? The country is not really clear at the border, and also the language, and also English. Currently, people speak English around the world because it become more and more popular. Actually, right now, the language, international language, or other languages, are not only English, because the easiness of communication, we don't have to travel to the countries, and then people can communicate with others. Now, by this trend, English becomes so important right now and so widespread, so global, as I said before. So knowing or practicing certain accents of English become, questionable. Why? Why do we need to, for example, use British accent? Meanwhile, English is so global. Now, people consider English now become international language. It means that the language for everyone. So we do not associate English to a certain country. Yeah. For example, we do have now English, yeah. The native of English, of course, British, yeah. And then it goes to America because of the colonialization, and also in Australia, New Zealand, and other parts, yeah, Commonwealth countries. They are considered the native of English, but the user of English now growing so fast. Yeah. Now people, now they are talking about international English. So the term of, I mean, the current term for English is English as international language. So we call AIL, yeah, English as international language. It does not belong to certain country, yeah, because as I said, English is spoken and the speakers is growing, yeah, because of the technology, because of the easiness of communication. Now, I don't see the urgency, the importance of practicing certain action. Now, I'm not saying that this title is not accepted. What I'm saying is that you have to have a strong arguments why you need to argue for, I mean, why you need to teach British action. So the question, if you are asked by the lectures, for example, in the real seminar, why are you going to introduce British action? Do you think that Indonesia, for example, subscribe to British action? As far as I know, Indonesia is more or is closer to America. We are Americanized, yeah. Jadi everything is related to America. It's very little about Britain, yeah, Great Britain, British. Ya. Kita justru itu sangat sangat American gitu. Semuanya kita itu diatur oleh Amerika, politiknya dikontrol Amerika, ekonominya juga. Bahkan kiblat kita tuh seperti Amerika, ya. Lebih ke sana lah pokoknya. Buktinya ya TOEFL menjadi kebijakan di Indonesia kan. Mau naik pangkat aja, bahkan seorang polisi nggak bisa jadi jenderal, atau jenderal tidak bisa jadi kapolda kalau dia tidak bisa mencapai skor TOEFL tertentu gitu ya. Nah, TOEFL is very American and TOEFL is owned by American government. So itu yang bahasa Inggrisnya lah gitu ya. Yang ekonominya ya kita very dependent ya on American. Now, in one part, we are very American, and you push to be to learn British accent. Nah, saya tidak tahu tuh kira-kira the argument or katakanlah bukan mungkin perhaps just the ideas, ya. What is the ideas behind this? Kira-kira apa, Intan?
The ideas behind this title is because sometimes people people are hard to understand when British people speak English, so, because their accent is different with American, and it makes another people from different countries. Especially in Indonesia, sometimes Indonesian are feeling hard to understand what they are saying or what they are talking about because of the differences of saying word or saying something and such things.
You mean it is easier in British action rather than American?
No, I didn't mean that. I mean American accent is easier from the British one.
When you want to challenge students to learn British action, is that? Okay. All right. So itu ya, this is the first concerns about your topic. Yeah, that's also could be the difficult answer for you. So you have to get ready to collect information. Why you think we have to learn British accent? Yeah. And the second thing that's come to my mind, and also try to imagine the the problems in your title, is that how this is experimental research. So meaning that it is quantitative, meaning that you have to measure, you have to use number of to score, at least, yeah, to score someone's achievement or the student sorry, the student achievement, of your uh, of British action. Now my question is that how are you going to measure where the level of British action achievement? How are you going to detect that certain student, for example, already achieved this level of British action and the other one is not, for example, or just low achievement? So how are you going to do that?
Right. The first thing is that I think my proposal is not really completed. It's not really complete because I was intending to add uh, some some detail in a theoretical review, if I'm not mistaken, sir, because I'm going to add like mechanics of accents. So that I will uh, provide like the steps how to use British accents in speaking English. So uh, just like uh, just like for the problem of uh, to pronounce how to pronounce the T, because it's really different when American people say tea and also British, uh, just like in word of water. So American will say water, and the British is will say water. So there is really clear differences in it, and other than that, in measurement, I will also provide script for that movie set. So it's not. I mean, I don't show all of the movie. I mean, the complete movie because it's really long. It almost 2 hours, over 2 hours. So I think I will just take some scenes that really shows the like much British in it. So, and for the measurement, I think I will take it from the students from how far they understand about my material when I explain about how to use British accents.
Actually, my question is, how are you going to do the test? And how are you going to do the measure how it is not easy to create the pronunciation test, yeah, because what you are going to do is the pronunciation test. Now how are you going to rate, yeah, to score the pronunciations, yeah. Are you going to do it for example just word by words? For example, you ask the student to read 10 sentences, for example, like that. And then in one sentence, it contains 10 words, for example, that they have to pronounce. And then you just totally which words are not properly pronounced. Is that something like that, or you have different mechanism and how you are going to measure the quality of their pronunciation in terms of British accent?
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's more. It goes to oral test, especially.
Yeah, my question is how can you tell me how are you going to do the test? How the test will look like?
Right in my proposal, there are procedures, three procedures, just like pre-test, a treatment, and also post-test. So I think I will. No, I mean I will do oral test for the pre-test. So I mean I will test them one by one for saying just like as you said before, sir. Maybe I will take 10 words or some sentences that they have to say that in British accents. So there is the measurement that I will take from them, sir.
Who will score it? Who will rate it? You yourself?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe that you can detect someone's pronunciation? I mean, you can recognize whether it is British or not British?
Actually, me myself, I don't really good in British because I'm still learning, sir. But
No, so then how? If you say
there
that
is
you are not very good, so then how? Who is going
there
to
is
score?
there is a media like Google Translate, which they can pronounce, and we can switch. I mean uh, select. No, I mean like uh, there's a media that is special for pronouncing word in British accents.
And then what are you going to do? Are you
And I
going to
think I will.
compare?
Yeah, I think I will use that.
Okay. Now, sorry. That's what I'm saying. That's the difficulties of your research, this part. Yeah. Because you are going to measure, we are going to test, and you are going to produce some score, and you are meaning that you are going to measure someone's accuracy in pronouncing in terms of in British way, in British action way. Now to score someone's speaking, for example, is much easier because you don't really focus on pronunciation, but it's more on the understandability, whether the spoken language is easier to understand or not, like that. But in your case, you are going to score, to measure the quality of British accent. Meanwhile, you are not British, and then we depend on your accuracy. I don't know what's the mechanism, and all of those things you have to explain in your proposal how you are going to do it and how you are going to score it and how you are going to argue that your score is correct in terms of measuring British action. Now that's to me is the difficulty of your proposal. Now these two things ya, itu dua hal yang sebenarnya keywords in your proposal ya, keyword dari proposal kamu. Jadi kamu harus apa? Harus banyak baca nih, arahnya ini adalah ke linguistik, lebih ke linguistik. Who is your academic advisor?
Is Mr. Sudarsono and also Mr. Ihsan Genza.
Academic advisor. Ya. Jadi supervisornya sudah ditentukan gitu. Kalau Pak Darsono sih ya mudah-mudahan lah karena beliau adalah bidang linguistik. So it's more on linguistic, I guess, because you are going to deal with phonetics, perhaps something like that. Ya. Nah, dulu ada mahasiswa meneliti korelasi, gitu. Korelasi antara pronunciation bahasa Arab dengan pronunciation bahasa Inggris. Jadi apakah dia meneliti apakah mahasiswa yang pandai